Whoo-wee, man, the season is almost upon us. Like literally, we had the Hall of Fame game last week, right? And then we got, Thursday night Ravens football coming up. So it's feeling like it's oh so close, right? It's feeling like it's oh so close. And I think finally, as Ravens fans, we might be getting some answers. JK is back, right? Duvernay had a little hiccup in the camp and everything. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Where is this team at right now? Right? Are we gonna look at we might even look at the first depth chart and see like what's going on, right? What's going on with these Ravens? Because last year at this time, this year at this time, I think there's a lot to look forward to. All right, what is going on, good people? Back at it again, man. I missed y'all, man. I'm gonna say this every time. Every time I miss more than a week's worth of shows, I'm gonna miss y'all. I tell y'all that. Man, back again. I've been to Tampa, Florida, and back. As crazy as that sounds, but I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be back. DJ from Bill Productions, right here, right at you, right here. We're gonna talk a little Ravens football, man. It's crazy to think, man. This time last year was a crazy time for the Ravens, but now I think we might be possibly getting some answers. We might be possibly finding a little bit of a groove when it comes to this little thing with the Ravens going on right now. Because for me, coming into this season, I got a lot to be excited about. When it comes to the Ravens, of course, you got starting off, you got the 10-year anniversary of the Super Bowl, back in 2013 and that 2012-2013 season. So that's always big. That's always fun. That gives you a little bit more to play for because you're like, dang, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've been there. Of course, Lamar won't that Super Bowl probably more than anybody at this point, right? Like, it's crazy, man. Like, the offseason is so wild, dude. The offseason is so wild. There's so much going on all at the same time. You got trades going on. Of course, you got the craziness going on with Deshaun Watson and him being out. And I forgot to even put that up in there. But, him being out for the first, pending the appeal, of course, for the first 6 games, his debut for the Cleveland Browns going to be in week 7 against the Ravens. That's interesting, to say the least, right? It's crazy, it's crazy because there's just so much stuff still, like right now, even with camp going on, I think with Duvernay, first things first, Duvernay had like what, a stinger or something going on, like he had like he went down for a minute, but I think he's feeling a little bit better now, with camp and everything, and I mean, and that's big because I think Duvernay's the number 2 wide receiver on the depth chart right now. Prochet being 3, Tylen Wallace fitting in there where he can fit in there. It is interesting. I was listening to some stuff today. Speaking of them wide receivers, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. When, and hopefully, they're all healthy this season. We get to see what they got. And I think the Ravens are really leaning on these youngins, these young guys, because I think, I've been telling y'all for weeks, like Julio Jones still out there. Doc. He's he at the time, right? At the time of my last video, he's still out there, right? He's still out there. Why? Why not take the chance? Why not get the veteran presence in there? This is the Ravens MO. This is what the Ravens do, right? The Ravens like cheap contracts, right? And they like veteran wide receivers. This is perfect, right? I was talking to somebody at work. I'm like, why? And he looked at me the same way. He's like, I don't know. Like, this is exactly what the Ravens do. This is what they love. They love the little, cheap contract type situation with the veteran, and all that. Like they like that. That's their thing. So I'm sitting here still at the same point thinking, I think they still missed the ball on that, but I don't know. Like, looking at that kind of the camp highlights and what you can see and hearing from some guys who actually went to camp. Ravens Online Gatekeepers was talking about it. He had a video talking about some stuff he saw in camp, like, very interesting stuff. If you go take a look at it, I think it was his last live stream he did, and he was kind of talking about it, like, is this defense not like, because there were some guys getting beat out there, right? Is this defense is not as good as we think it's gonna be, or are these weapons a little bit better than we think? And it's tough because I think we've seen the potential, right? We've seen the potential, but at the same time, the Ravens offense has been so first things first, run heavy, right? So that's the biggest thing. Those guys ain't gonna get the chances that we think they're gonna get, but also at the same time, the Ravens offense has also been very Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews heavy. So the plays have been drawn up for them, like either them trying to get somebody else open, or the play drawn up for them to get open, or if it's a broken play, they tend to be the guys who end up getting open, right? We've seen Prochet kind of slide through every once in a while, Duvernay kind of slide through every once in a while, and it's interesting because I feel like I agree with them. The point they made, they was talking about how, like, and I hadn't thought of it this way, but they was talking about how basically these guys have had chances, right? It ain't like they in a crazy wide receiver room that's crazy competitive where it's like, these guys ain't gonna get their chances. Like, Hollywood got most of the targets, Mark Andrews got most of the targets, but I mean, Bateman came in and made an impact quickly, right? That's the thing. Bateman came in last year, like, and I know, like, they drafted him high, so the point was, hey, you come in, you make an impact, you do your thing. But Bateman came in pretty quick and made an impact. So, once again, it goes back to a guy like Miles Boykin, right? You was in the spot, you didn't take that opportunity as you should have. So, and I think the same can be said, maybe for a James Prochet, who has been dogging it up in camp, which I love to see. Like, I really hope he gets the opportunities that he deserves, because I've seen a lot of good things from Prochet, whether it be in games, whether it be in highlights, whatever. I've seen some good things from Prochet, but I really do think that's a guy who really ain't getting the opportunities that he deserves, right? Like, I mean, I think I said it before the last time, like, I've heard that this dude is practically unguardable at times. If he's unguardable, why is he not on the field? So it's tough, because on one hand, it's like, yes, you got to be getting your opportunities. But on the other hand, I'm sitting here thinking, I've seen plenty of sets where Patrick Ricard is a slot wide receiver. So, right? So it's like, are they getting the chances? Are they not getting the chances? Who knows? Who knows? But speaking of that offense, man, to kind of continue to go with the offensive train, JK, JK is back. He looks excited to be back, definitely, sure. Like, and the thing is, everybody, Harbaugh's been talking about how he's been kind of pushing, like, he's been like, I gotta get back, I gotta get back, I gotta get back. Which is good to see, especially if he's ready. I don't want them to rush him back. Yeah, that's why you got Mike Davis. That's why you draft Batty, right? That's why you draft these guys. They picked up another running back. I don't even know who it is right off the top of my head, but they picked up another running back. That's why you picked up these guys. That was the whole entire point, was to not rush back, the Gus Bus and Gus Edwards, and not rush back J.K. Dobbins. So make sure that you don't rush those guys back, because we want to see them, play the full season. We don't want to see them, having nagging injuries throughout the season because they got rushed back. Like, I honestly, like, to have like Mike Davis, and to have somebody else I'm missing. Who am I missing? I really am. I'm missing one of the running backs. Who is it? Let me look real quick. Tyler Batty. Oh, Justice Hill. That's another one. But even still, he coming back from injury. So, like, Tyler Batty, that's the one I'm thinking about. Tyler Batty, and to have Mike Davis, I think, is huge early on in the season, because you want to ease these guys in, especially with the type of offense the Ravens run. You want to ease these guys in. I know Lamar gonna be ready for week one. I'm so excited to see Lamar back. Of course, the bigger, stronger, hopefully even faster, right? As crazy as that sounds, right? Lamar, like, I'm excited, man. Like, especially, like, looking at it kind of even in a retrospective lens of last year. Like, last year by this time, if I'm not mistaken, and it might not have been, it was close. Like we looking at this whole scope of the preseason, right? We looking at this whole scope of, those 3 weeks, man. Like, we saw JK go down, we saw Marcus Peters go down, we saw Gus go down, all in the same kind of in the same breath, in a way, right? Like, they all went down all at the same time. And now to have those guys back and have Lamar back, and this camp has felt very much, and I know the linebacker. What was it? Bateman, I think his name was, something like that. The veteran linebacker that ended up getting hurt. That's been the only like kind of big injury that has seemed like, has hurt the Ravens, which you hate to see. So now to see it's feeling a little bit more like a healthy front. I mean, I don't know if you can. I don't know if you could have a season like the Ravens had last year with all the injuries again, over and over and over again, right? Like I don't think that's not even something that can logically happen. I don't think that's just like freak accident after freak accident after freak accident, that causes that. So that's what I'm wondering, man. Like I'm like, I'm excited to see what the Ravens are gonna do, man, because it just gets me excited. It really does. Like it just gets me excited, man. Even just looking at the depth chart right now, just looking at kind of the first depth charts to come out. It's interesting to look at, like, for example, like wide receivers, like who are the guys that they are trying to kind of push a little bit. Like, let's see, what to expect, especially with the preseason opener against. I'm blanking on it. I'm blanking on who the preseason opener against. The preseason opener coming up, I think it's gonna be. I just looked at it too. That's the crazy part. But with the preseason opener coming up, like, it's interesting to see the Titans. With the preseason opener coming up, it's gonna be interesting to see like guys like Devin Williams and Benjamin Victor and these guys, like, like to see what they're gonna do. Because I'm not, because they've been in the offense for a couple of years and how crazy last season went. I don't expect to see in the preseason a lot of Bateman. I don't expect to see in the preseason a lot of Duvernay. I don't expect to see in the preseason a lot of Prochet. I do expect to see a little more Tylan Wallace because he didn't get as many snaps last season. So I expect to see him a little bit more. Him being the backup, the backup kind of slot guy. I expect to see some of Slade Bolden, who I've heard has been eating in camp too. So that, it's nice. It'd be nice to see a little bit more of him. Do we necessarily have that guy that instills fear in anybody? I don't think, not yet. And I think even with Bateman, I think it's almost like a not yet scenario. It's like, I think he's got all the potential in the world. I think he probably should be, right? He probably should be the guy. He should be the Ravens guy that instills fear into the defense. But I think everybody, and this feels like, we've been saying this for 3, 4, 5 years, especially since Lamar Jackson has been here. But I mean, I think we've always said it. Like the Ravens have a track record of this. Like, at the end of the day, like, everybody's on a prove it mode, I think, right now. Like, except for like Mark Andrews. That might be the only one. Like, that might be for real. But at the wide receiver position, I think everybody's on a prove it mode, including Rashad Bateman, because Rashad Bateman is good and he showed plenty of flashes last season. But can you stack it up week after week after week when you are the guy now, right? I think he's ready for it. I think he's relishing in that. But I think to the rest of the NFL, and that's really where I'm speaking from. Right? I'm not speaking from the Ravens fans who believe in these guys, right? I'm not speaking from the Ravens fans who understand that Rashad Bateman is a beast. Duvernay has plenty of potential. Prochet could be, a beast of a guy. I'm talking about the guys who are a little bit uncertain, right? The guys outside of the NFL, right? That anonymous defensive coordinator that was talking about Lamar, I'm talking about him, right? Right. I'm talking about him. He's probably like, I don't know. Let's see. We're gonna start with Lamar first, then we're gonna see what these receivers got. Right. So I think there's plenty of potential on the offensive end. Because we've already talked about this defense. This defense on paper, write it down, right? This defense should be really good. Talent-wise, they should be really good. We talking about Marcus Peters coming back, right? We talking about Marlon Humphrey being healthy this season. Adding Kyle Fuller, who I've heard hasn't been playing as well as you would expect him to. But I think at the same time, I really do. I think if you put him in the right position right now, especially with the guys that he's got beside him, I think it could be a big deal. I think he could be huge for the defense on the defensive end. Of course, Chuck Clark is still there. There was a lot of talk about potentially trading him, to see what he's going to do with Tony Jefferson, with Geno Stone and those guys. Like, I want to see what's going to happen. Of course, you got Kyle Hamilton out there too. He's been playing. I feel like he's been playing more of a, just from what I've seen, what I've heard, he's been playing a little more of a, Swiss Army knife type of a role. Put him at safety, let him cover a little bit, like, let him do a little bit of everything. Let him be a ball hog like he really is. And I think that's been huge. That addition to see Kyle Hamilton, as a guy, Jalen Armour Davis, like to see what he's gonna do, right? To see what he's gonna do in all of this too. There's a lot, like and I talked about it before. It was my biggest fear with getting rid of Tavon Young, the depth of everything, right? The depth, like how good are the Ravens gonna be when it comes down to it, because you got to worry about the depth of everything, right? You got to worry about really, you got to worry about, you lose Tavon Young, now what? Like, who you gonna put in that spot? You lose Tavon Young and Jimmy Smith, them two guys from last year that you was dependent on a little bit more. But I think, I think it's possible the Ravens got a little better when you think about it, when it comes down to it. And that's a good thing, because I think priority number one is wide receiver and establishing that guy at wide receiver, establishing those guys at wide receiver. But I think priority number two is to make sure that the Bengals, who are very talkative right now, and the Bengals fans who are very talkative right now, right? Talking about how it's too easy, right? Talking about on the pivot, it's too easy, right? It's too easy sometimes, like, specifically calling out the Ravens by name as a team that it was a little easy against. Like, I want to see once the chips are back where they supposed to be and not all over the floor, and we got to pick them up. Like, we ain't playing 52-guard pickup this season, and we always playing from behind, right? That's now I want to see. I want to see what the Bengals do when Marcus Peters is out there, what the Bengals do when Marcus Peters and Marlowe is out there, right? Marcus Peters, Marlowe, Kyle Fuller is out there, Armour Davis is out there, right? Adding Kyle Hamilton into the mix, however you want to add him into the mix, right? Brandon Stevens too, like, these different guys, I want to see what's really gonna happen, and that's a game I'm really excited for, man. I'm gonna do a season preview. A season preview is definitely coming up very, very soon, because I don't remember right off when the Ravens play the Bengals. It's pretty early though. Like, I think it's week 5 actually is when they play them. So they to see the Bengals that early, it's gonna be fun, man. I can't remember who, and they end with the Bengals too. So it's gonna be plenty of time for adjustment and everything else. Like I don't know. I think the Bengals, and I want to do also like an AFC North video. I want to see if I can find some fans from each AFC North team, and let's just kind of sit down and talk about this thing, because I think with the Bengals, they had 20 years of injury luck on their side, right? I don't believe that the Bengals are going to be able to just snap right back into the playoffs like they think they're going to, right? I don't believe that the Bengals, who just went to the Super Bowl, I'd even venture, and it's hard to say because there's 7 teams getting to the playoffs, so I ain't gonna say they're not gonna make it to the playoffs, but like, it's not gonna be nearly as easy as I think it is, right? The Steelers is gonna still be competitive, as crazy as that sounds, right? The Browns, I think, will be competitive too once Deshaun Watson gets back, but can they? It's going to be a struggle, I think, initially, because they got a lot to overcome in those first 6 weeks, right? 6 weeks without your starting QB, and he ain't played in a year. That's a lot. That's a lot to overcome if you're the Browns, right? That's a lot to overcome if you're the Browns. So, of course, I think the Steelers going to be competitive, but I think at the end of the day, like, I think the Ravens are almost like the forgotten team, I think, in the division. Because for yeah, the Steelers probably in a way too, but I mean, I think people have always said, oh, the Steelers going to be consistent. So, right, the Steelers going to be consistent. So, right, they always said that. And then, of course, the Browns had the big signing of Deshaun Watson. So everybody's like talking about the Browns. Oh, they could be really good. What they going to do? This could be their get back to the playoffs type of a moment right here, right? And then with the Bengals, they just got off the Super Bowl. So, just got off of going to the Super Bowl at least. So at the end of the day, people going to always come to them and be like, yeah, let's be real about things, man. that, you know, they hadn't won a playoff game in a while, but they did make it to the Super Bowl last season, right? So I think the Ravens sometimes are the forgotten team in the AFC North because, you know, I mean, let's be honest, Lamar Jackson is a trending topic, right? He's been talked about. He's been talked about at least once or twice a week for the whole offseason, right? As he has been since he came into the NFL, right? And, you know, after he came into the NFL and lost to the Chargers, a lot of that talk was about what he did and what he didn't do against the Chargers in his rookie year and all that, and in the Titans game and all that, right? And then, you know, the Bills in the next year, you know, and then the injury riddled season. Nobody's talking about that, right? Nobody's talking about the injury riddled season. It's all about what Lamar Jackson couldn't do / hasn't done / shouldn't be doing / hasn't been paid for / hasn't gotten paid yet, right? Like, that's been the big thing, right? I talked about it before. Lamar Jackson is a trending topic, right? He's a trending topic. Any way they can slide him into the news cycle, they're gonna slide him into the news cycle. So although the Ravens are the forgotten team in the AFC North, I feel like at the same time, I think this is a good time for the Ravens to continue to show the NFL who they are. You know, I think they got to come back come back and find a way to beat the Steelers, like not let the Steelers have their number again this year, right? They really got to get the Bengals back. And I think with more health on their side, they do get the Bengals back. So what does that mean, right? What does a healthy Ravens team mean for the AFC North? I think it bodes well for the Ravens, especially if 8 is out there. As long as 8 is out there, like, and I think that goes back to it because I'm gonna try to get Ravens Online Gatekeepers on. I don't know his name. I should know his name. I just know his YouTube channel. But I'm gonna try to get him on because I was talking to him and I heard him. He was talking about the talent, right? He was talking about the talent that is on the at the receiver position. And I think sometimes as much as I would love to see Lamar Jackson, Willis Stephon Diggs, or Devontae Adams, right? Some of these, number one, style guys, right? Like these number one receivers, these guys who really gonna make you respect both the run and the pass. Like as much as I would love to see Lamar with one of these guys, well, we've seen what he can do without them. Which unfortunately might be the Ravens' thought process when it comes down to it. But at the same time, we've seen what Lamar can do without him. I just can't imagine what would happen if he had one, right? I can imagine what would happen if Devin Duvernay becomes that guy, right? If Rashad Bateman becomes that guy, he becomes that number one dude, right? Like I can only imagine how much more respect this offense would get. Because, I mean, let's not forget, this was already a top 5 offense, overall. And then you add some actual wide receiver weapons. Let's see whether that be through the development of them as wide receivers, through the usage of them as wide receivers, or, just the scheme in general. Right? Like the scheme changing enough to utilize these guys as wide receivers, because Lamar was on pace to put up record-breaking numbers last season, right? And that was in the passing game too. So with that being said, I want to see Bateman be that guy. I want to see Prochet be that guy, right? Like what I would love to see, realistically though, what I would love to see is for Prochet to be that guy, and then Bateman to also be that guy, right? I would love to see Prochet come out week 1, and make a true impact. Like, oh man, this dude's a beast. Like, wait a minute, right? I would love to see Prochet or Tylen Wallace or somebody like that come out there and just shock the world, because we're expecting Bateman to be that guy. Because somebody got to be a number 2. If Bateman gonna truly be a number 1, somebody got to be a number 2. And of course, Mark Andrews is going to open some stuff up for you. That's the thing, right? But I think Bateman is too. So whoever becomes that guy, Duvernay, Prochet, why am I blanking on his name? I just said it. I just said it. Tylan Wallace, there's a guy. Tylan Wallace, right? Tylan Wallace, right? Whether it's Duvernay, Prochet, Tylan Wallace, it don't really matter, right? It don't really matter as long as somebody steps into that spot. And it's about freaking time that the Ravens finally drafted a receiver that can be that for them, right? Imagine if you somehow drafted two, with Tylan Wallace being in there or Prochet being in there, right? Duvernay has shown flashes of what he can be, and of course he's a top returner too. On top of that, so and that makes me think, and this is my last point because I know I'm rambling all at this point, but this is my last point that makes me think because when I look at the wide receivers, when I look at what the receivers can do with Duvernay returning kicks and punts, it makes me think that Duvernay might not be used as much in the offense as he is in other ways. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, Prochet has been a guy who's been catching, returning punts too, and not necessarily returning them, but catching them. So it makes me think, even with the way the depth chart is right now, with Duvernay returning punts, they might try to add in a little more Prochet into that, a little more Tylan Wallace in that. So it'll be interesting to see what they're gonna do. It'd be interesting to see what they're gonna do with those guys. Like I'm excited to see it, man. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what exactly they're going to do with this team. I think the defense is going to be great, especially once they get it all together. They get this chemistry down like they need to. I think they're going to be really, really, really good. And then I think this offense is going to be back at it, right? They're going to be back at it like they need to be, like they have been for the last couple of years. They're going to still be a top offense, whether they or run first or not. I think they still going to be a top offense. I think Lamar is that dynamic. I think JK is that darn good. I think Gus Edwards is that darn good. I think his offensive line got that much better, so they can be an even better offense. But I think at the same time, I think it's time for some other guys to step up that ain't that ain't Lamar Jackson, right? It's time for some other guys to step up that's not Lamar Jackson. It's time for some other guys to step up, specifically at the wide receiver position, right? It's your time now. Like really, like straight up, like we talk about big trust, right? We talk about this whole, y'all remember the MVP season, 2019. We talked about, it was a lot about big trust, right? The Ravens are putting big trust in these guys. Rashad Bateman for 1, Devin Duvernay for 2, right? James Prochet for 3, Tylan Wallace, right? They didn't go sign a veteran. They see something in you, or they don't want to spend the money. One or the other, right? They see something in you, or they don't want to spend the money. But I'm gonna go on the positive side and say they see something in you, because I think the Ravens fans see the potential, but we haven't really gotten a chance to truly let it be, right? So there's no Hollywood anymore, right? There's no Hollywood anymore. So now Bateman is your time, Duvernay is your time, Prochet is your time, Tylan is your time, right? Slade Bolden, if you want to slide on in there, is your time, right? Devin Williams, if you want to slide on in there, it's your time. Shamar Bridges, if you want to slide on in there, it's your time, right? You see what I'm saying? Malachi Polk, if you want to slide on in there, it's your time. Benjamin Victor, if you want to slide on in there, it's your time. Jalen Moore, if you want to slide on in there, it's your time. Because at the end of the day, nobody's proven anything on this team yet, except for Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is the only receiver currently on the roster with a 1,000-yard season under his belt, and he don't even play receiver. So because of that, everybody got an opportunity. It's an equal opportunity, right? The Ravens right now are equal opportunity provider for wide receivers, right? For the wide receivers on the roster. They didn't sign Julio Jones. They didn't go out and get DK. They didn't go out and get Debo. So there's got to be a little bit of trust there. So I'm going to trust their judgment right now, right? I'm going to trust their judgment right now, especially since I will, by default, I'm going to get a chance to see what y'all can do. So I'm going to trust your judgment, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see, because I think somebody out of those guys besides Bateman, I think Bateman's definitely going to break out. But somebody out, because he had 400 yards last year, and he was the number 3 receiver with who missed 4 or 5, was it 4 or 5 games? One or two, I think it was 4 games. So Bateman's going to be fine. I'm not worried about Bateman. I know I'll bring him up, but I'm not worried about Bateman, right? I'm worried about Duvernay. I'm worried about Prochet. I'm worried about Tyler because I haven't seen him yet, right? We haven't seen enough of him yet, right? Prochet has shown some good things. Duvernay has shown some good things. Tylen, I've heard a lot about Tylen Wallace. So what is Tylen Wallace going to do? What is Tylen Wallace going to be? Right? This the time right now. Right? This the time right now. And I'm excited, man. I'm going to try to tune in. I don't watch much of the preseason, which is probably my fault in itself, right? I don't watch much of the preseason, but at the same time, I'm going to try to tune in a little bit, at least to kind of see what these guys are going to do. Because this is the Ravens' time to finally develop a known receiver. They've never been able to truly do that. Like, I mean, Torrey Smith is one of the only that they've really been actually able to develop into a pretty good receiver. So, and they definitely don't like re-signing them. So, but anyway, as always, hope you guys enjoyed this episode 15. Who we calling out this time? Ryan Mallett, right? The Ryan Mallett episode. Y'all don't understand. I was kind of excited that Ryan Mallett was signed. I kind of liked Ryan Mallett, not for a fact of being the starting QB, but just because I kind of like Ryan Mallett back then. The Ryan Mallett episode, the Hollywood Brown, the old school Hollywood, right? Like that was like rookie year Hollywood. The rookie year Hollywood type joint. But as always, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back definitely very, very soon to talk to y'all. I'm not playing this time, okay? I'm not playing this time. I've been joking with y'all, right? This is my comedy special. No, I've been joking with y'all for real. I will be back. Maybe I'll address these Bengals rumors that I got on my phone right now. These Bengals statements that they saying. I got the video. I just gotta put it in the right format so y'all can see it because I want y'all to see it too. Because they tripping. They tripping. Okay. But anyway, as always, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys on the next one. Until next time. Oh yeah. Wait. Stay right there. Remember, you can always watch Flock Nation Speaks or listen to Flock Nation Speaks on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, all your little platforms that you would like to listen to them. You can listen to Flock Nation Speaks right there, and for real this time. Until next time.